Welcome to the Scandinavian wilderness and a springtime canoe trip, fishing and exploring Färnebofjärdens National Park.
Hur ska jag ha dem här? Så. Fel håll. Tog inte med det där på filmen, va?
I have previously visited Färnebofjärden during autumn, and after that trip I have been keen to go back in spring. There is a special reason why spring or autumn trips are preferable. But to understand why, you first need to understand a bit more about Färnebofjärden. On its journey towards the sea, the large river Dalälven flows through the national park and forms the basis for Färnebofjärdens unique landscape. The water levels shift heavily, and during spring flood, as it is now, the water reaches its highest levels. When this reoccurring event happens, the surrounding forest gets flooded, and what was once land is now temporarily underwater.
Really nice place. This is actually on land that we are kayaking at the moment. So the whole place is flooded. And it's only a couple of centimeters deep, but it's just enough for the kayaks to be able to canoe in here. So that's not something you do every day.
These floodings create a special habitat for various animals, but there is one in particular that is thriving in this environment: the mosquito. All puddles of water in the forest act as nursing chambers filled with mosquito larvae, and when they hatch, Färnebofjärden becomes the mosquito densest area in Sweden. And that's why spring or autumn are considered good times to visit the national park. In spring, before the mosquitoes have hatched, or in autumn, when most have died off. This particular year, the floodings was more extreme than usual, and it is predicted to be a record year for mosquitoes. In some sense, it would be interesting to visit and see how bad it gets, but it is also said that it can become unbearable to stay here when it happens.
So we're scouting some of the shelters that exist here in the national park. But the plan is that we will spend the night at Sandon.
It has become time to prepare for some fishing. Färnebofjärden is a popular fishing location, and the water has a rich underwater life. Pike and perch are the most common fish, and there are good chances to catch big specimens. This was also the first time trying to fish from a kayak, which turned out to work just fine.
Nice one! What is it?
Pike.
Baby pike. New fish on.
Bigger pike.
Oh, it's big! Nice. New fish on. Well, there's lots of pikes in these waters at least. Another one that is hooked. Fifth one. Nice.
After the fifth pike, we had to form a temporary fishing ban, since we didn't make any progress on our route towards Sandon. The fish got hooked on almost every single try, and it felt that we spent more time with a fish on the hook rather than trying to catch one. A situation that I haven't encountered before. Not really sure what we did right, or if it was just pure luck, because the fishing was a lot slower for the rest of the trip.
Now we're heading towards Sandon and planning to set camp there.
Even if there are many places to stay in the national park, most visitors end up at Sandon. The island is located pretty much in the center of the national park, making it an ideal location to set camp for at least one night. It is a rather beautiful island, with its beaches, views and forest. Here you find a shelter, some toilets and fireplaces with firewood. Sandon is not that big, but it's not too small either to become crowded.
So we're scouting for a good campsite at Sandon. And it's a bit funny because there are tents everywhere. But so far we haven't seen a single person. So that's interesting. So we've been scouting different spots here at Sandon. And it's a quite busy island. Most of the spots are occupied, but this nice little beach here is still free, so we're planning to stay here for the night. And there is a fireplace and wood supply and so on. So not a bad place at all.
I'm interested to know how the mosquito situation is on Sandön during peak mosquito season. Is it just as bad out on the islands, or are they potential safe zones? If someone happens to know anything about this, please let me know in the comments.
So we're going to have a look around on the island. Sandon, it's a beautiful island and it has treated us well. But now we're gonna jump in the kayaks and keep on exploring Färnebofjärden National Park and see what this day has to offer.
For this day we didn't have any specific plans other than fishing and keep on exploring Färnebofjärden. The weather turned out sunny and the wind kept dropping during the day, making the conditions near perfect.
So this is Göknäset. It's one of, I don't know how many, I think it's like 4 or 5 cabins that is open free of charge for visitors in the national park. So it's a quite good service that they have. Maybe not the most, the coziest cabin, but still, if it's a rainy day or something like that, then it's good that they have that possibility that you can get in the cabin and you spend the night there instead.
Nej, nu tycker jag är hög tid på in. Det smäller till. You don't want to fight.
We spotted these gadgets in the river. Not sure what they are, but my best guess is that it has something to do with the mosquitoes. I know that there are mosquito counters in the national park to keep an eye on the current situation. But it's just a guess. If anyone knows better, please let us know in the comments. Färnebofjärden is supposedly one of Sweden's best locations for spotting birds, with more species living here than almost any other place in Sweden. That is at least according to the information flyer about the national park. Being here during spring had also put my expectations high, since the birds are usually most active then. Given that background, I have to say that the bird life we encountered was somewhat of a disappointment. It actually felt that we encountered less birds than one would expect from a trip, and the few we did see were mostly birds that, to our knowledge, would be considered common.
It's been a bit slow with the fishing, but now at least one small pike. So all the shelters are occupied, but we have one last resort.
You are not allowed to camp freely within the national park, and are pointed to dedicated sites. In many ways I feel that this can be healthy, because it saves on wear and tear on the environment, and there is usually good service like firewood provided. Sandon being a perfect example as such. But we were a bit taken by surprise that all campsites we visited were occupied by quite many, and we didn't want to set up the tent in a crowded place.
New shelter and also already occupied by quite many people. So now it's the last resort We were aiming for a cabin called Bengt's Stuga.
At all campsites we scouted, the situation was the same. Too many people at a too small area. At Sandon we expected it to be other people, but the island is big enough to get some sort of privacy.
Okay, so the last resort failed as well. Bengt's Stuga is occupied.
We did think of going back to Sandon, but we had already paddled for 28 kilometers, and instead we decided to end the trip early. It may seem like a failure to end the trip short one day, but it opened up another window for another trip, so a new video is coming soon.
It's a bit crowded in Färnebofjärdens National Park at the moment. So all the camping spots were occupied. So that means that we are ending this trip early, unfortunately. So that's it for this time. But until next time, goodbye.
Please like and subscribe to not miss out on any Scandinavian wilderness.